we begin, Oklahoma, we begin. Thank you, Oklahoma, and thank you to Vice President Mike Pence. We begin our campaign. We begin our campaign, and I just want to thank all of you. You are warriors. I've been watching the fake news for weeks now, and everything is negative. Don't go, don't come, don't do anything. Today it was like, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. You are warriors. Thank you. We had some very bad people outside. They were doing bad things. But I really do. I appreciate it. We have just a tremendous group of people in Oklahoma. And I hear from your two great senators and your governor that we're doing very well in Oklahoma. That's the word. That's the word. I stand before you today to declare the silent majority is stronger than ever before. 5 months from now, we're going to defeat Sleepy Joe Biden. Boy, does he get a pass from these people, huh? We're going to stop the radical left. We're going to build a future of safety and opportunity for Americans of every race, color, religion, and creed. Republicans are the party of liberty, equality, and justice for all. We are the party of Abraham Lincoln, and we are the party of law and order. And two great Supreme Court judges. So we have two justices of the Supreme Court, Justice Gorsuch, Justice Kavanaugh. They're great. They're great. They're great. We have two. We've spent over $2 trillion to completely rebuild the unmatched strength and power of the United States military. And all of that incredible equipment, whether it's submarines or missiles or rockets or jet fighters, bombers, it's all built in the USA. We passed VA choice. Thank you very much, Jim. Where's my senator? Jim Inhofe. You better vote for him. He's running. He's great. So we passed VA choice. So if you're a veteran, for years and years, they've wanted to do it for almost 50 years. We got it done. We get a lot of things done. And so if you're a veteran, and you have to wait in line for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 7 weeks, 2 months. What happens is you go outside, you get a private doctor, you get fixed up, and they pay your bill. We take care of the bill. And you get immediate service. It's never happened before. And our approval rating at the VA is now 91%. That's how good it is. Never been anywhere near that number. And VA accountability. We had a lot of bad people in the VA, people that didn't love our vets, people that were sadistic, people that stole, a lot of bad people. You couldn't get rid of them because they were, let's say it could be unions, it could be civil service, right? Let's just say. And so you couldn't get it done. That was another one. For decades and decades, they wanted to get it changed. And I got it done with those people and your congressman too. VA accountability, and now somebody treats our veterans badly. And we look at them, and what do we say? We say, you're fired. Get out, right? Get out. They got rid of a lot of bad people that were there for a long time, sort of like me in Washington, draining the swamp. I never knew it was so deep, but it's happening. It's happening. I never knew it was so deep. It's deep and thick and a lot of bad characters. Thank you. No, do you ever notice that Biden oftentimes gets the state wrong? He's in Iowa, and he says, it's good to be in Idaho. No, you're in Iowa. He's in New Hampshire, and he says, it's great to be in Ohio. No, you're in New Hampshire. That happens to him all the time. Hasn't happened to me yet. You know, when that happens, there's nothing you can do to make up for it. You might as well just walk off the stage because the speech is a disaster. Cool. Right? But we just turned the United States into the dominant energy superpower of the world. And because of the Chinese virus, what happened about 3 months ago, it looked like we were in big trouble, and we were, and I got it back together. I called Russia. I called Russia. I called Saudi Arabia. And believe it or not, I called Mexico. Mexico was a little bit tough. That's called OPEC Plus. Did you ever hear of OPEC Plus? That's OPEC plus plus. And we got them to do the right thing. And we have our energy back to up almost $40 a barrel, meaning you have an energy business again. Almost $40 a barrel. A couple of months ago, it was zero, and we were going to lose 10 million energy jobs, 10 million jobs. So Texas and Oklahoma and North Dakota and many other states would have been hurt. Now, you think you're going to be hurt there? You try putting AOC in charge of your energy. That will make the pandemic look like child's play to the people in energy. She has one problem. It's called petroleum. No president or administration has done more in the first 3.5 years than the Trump administration. Not even nobody. Our incredible success in rebuilding America stands in stark contrast to the extremism and destruction and violence of the radical left. We just saw it outside. If you just saw it outside, you saw these thugs that came along. These people call them protesters. Isn't it beautiful? It's so beautiful. No, they're so wonderful. They call them the Boston Tea Party. They're so wonderful. Yeah, they call them. You ever watch fake news CNN? You ever watch? Where they go? How about the CNN anchor? You know, did a little shave job in the head, which is fine. And he's standing in front of a building saying things are very peaceful here. And the building is, it looks like the biggest fire I've ever seen. The whole town is burning. It's like the biggest fire. And he said, things are very good here, Anderson. I think it's good. These are wonderful people, Anderson. You ever see that? Looked like the world was coming to an end. And you know, we did something in Minneapolis. After watching for 3 or 4 days, I called. I said, you got to get out. You can't protect yourselves. I got them to take 8,000 National Guardsmen. And in 1 hour, it all ended. And they rode through the next 3 weeks with no problem. And we did the same thing in other cities. But how about Seattle? Isn't that great? So they take over a big chunk of a city called Seattle. I mean, we're not talking about some little place. We're talking about Seattle. Have you ever been to Seattle? They took over a big chunk, and the governor, who's radical left, all of these places I talk about are Democrat. You know that. Every one of them. Every one of them. And I have an offer out. I said, anytime you want, we'll come in, we'll straighten it out in 1 hour or less. Now, I may be wrong, but it's probably better for us to just watch that disaster. I flew in with some of our great congressmen who we're going to introduce in a second, and I said to him, Congressman, what do you think? I can straighten it out fast. Should we just go in? No, sir. Let it simmer for a little while. Let people see what radical left Democrats will do to our country. Right? But Americans have watched left-wing radicals burn down buildings, loot businesses, destroy private property, injure hundreds of dedicated police officers. These police officers, they get injured. They don't complain. They're incredible. And injure thousands upon thousands of people only to hear the radical fake news say what a beautiful rally it was. And they never talk about COVID. They don't talk about when you see 25,000 people walking down Fifth Avenue or walking down a street of a Democrat-run city. You never hear them saying, they're not wearing their mask. You don't hear them saying, as they're breaking windows and running in. And then when I say the looters, the anarchists, the agitators, they say, what a terrible thing for our president to say. What a terrible thing. But you don't hear them talking about COVID. COVID. To be specific, COVID-19. That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus. And despite the fact that I have done a phenomenal job with it, I shut down the United States to very heavily infected, but all people from China in late January, which is months earlier than other people would have done it if they would have done it at all. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. We don't ever get even a mention. And what we've done with the ventilators and with the medical equipment and with testing, testing is a double-edged sword. We've tested now 25 million people. It's probably 20 million people more than anybody else. Germany's done a lot. South Korea's done a lot. They call me, they say, the job you're doing, here's the bad part. When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please. They test and they test. We got tests if people don't know what's going on. We got tests. We got another one over here. The young man's 10 years old. He's got the sniffles. He'll recover in about 15 minutes. That's a case. Add him to it. That's a case. That's a case. There was only one person that died under the age of 18. Would you believe that? Which tells me one thing, that kids are much stronger than us. When you see a little kid running around, say, boy, oh boy, do you have a great immune system. How about a piece of your immune system? They don't even know about this. Let's open the schools, please. Open the schools. We got to get them open. In the fall, we got to get them open. The unhinged left-wing mob is trying to vandalize our history, desecrate our monuments, our beautiful monuments, tear down our statues, and punish, cancel, and persecute anyone who does not conform to their demands for absolute and total control. We're not conforming. That's why we're here, actually. This cruel campaign of censorship and exclusion violates everything we hold dear as Americans. They want to demolish our heritage so they can impose their new oppressive regime in its place. They want to defund and dissolve our police departments. Think of that. I heard it for the first time 2 weeks ago. I said, well, that one, they're only kidding. I said, they're not. Minneapolis, you see what's going on? They're not kidding. They got a lot of problems. They'll have a lot of problems. Hey, It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and a very tough, I've used the word on occasion, hombre. A very tough hombre is breaking into the window of a young woman whose husband is away as a traveling salesman or whatever he may do. And you call 911, and they say, I'm sorry, this number is no longer working. By the way, you have many cases like that, many, whether it's a young woman, an old woman, a young man, or an old man, and you're sleeping. So what are you going to do, right? So they wanted to fund, they really do. This is a serious movement. And in Minneapolis, the council's already passed it. In Seattle, you see what's going on there. It's even worse, okay? These people are stone cold crazy. They're crazy. So if you want to save your heritage, you want to save that beautiful heritage of ours. We have a great heritage. We're a great country. You are so lucky I'm president. That's all I can tell you. People have come up to me and say, how do you take it? I say, do I have a choice? Do I have a choice? We deal with a lot of bad people, but we're winning. And every once in a while, I'll have one of these days where I'm hit left and right, like even this great event. What, if you could have seen outside, or if you could have heard the reports, oh, it's COVID, it's this, by the way, it's a disease, without question, has more names than any disease in history. I can name Kung Flu. I can name 19 different versions of names. Many call it a virus, which it is. Many call it a flu. What difference? I think we have 19 or 20 versions of the name. But they say to me, where do you get the energy? I say, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. You know, it was interesting to show you how fake they are. You might have seen it. So last week they called me and they say, sir, West Point, we're ready. I said, oh, that's right. I have to make the commencement speech at West Point. You know, they delayed it for 6 weeks because of COVID. So they delayed it. And I went there. 1,106 cadets were graduated, and beautiful. Right? Beautiful cadets. So, this is just to show you how bad the fake news is. So, they say to me, sir, we're ready to go. I say, let's go. This is after saying hello to a lot of cadets, inspecting little areas of a building that was very exciting. Actually, it's beautiful, very old. Studied a lot of our great generals, some of our presidents that went there. West Point is beautiful, right on the Hudson River. But after an hour, general that runs it is a fantastic guy. After an hour, we land. We do some more inspections, and they say, sir, are you ready? Yes, I am. So we walk like the equivalent of about 3 blocks, which was fine. We go on stage, which is fine. They make speeches, then I make a speech. It lasted a long time. I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, maybe longer. I don't know, but a long time. The sun is pouring down on me, okay? But they said to me before the speech, sir, would you like to salute each cadet, each single cadet, or maybe they'll be in groups of 2. Would you like to salute like this? Yes, like this. Almost 600 times. You know what that is? 600 times. Thank God they were in 2s. Because let me tell you, you do that 600 times, you go home and you say, it's like a workout without a weight, right? 600 times. So I did that. Then the incredible helicopters, brand new, gorgeous helicopters, the Apaches and the other new ones that we just bought. So they fly over. And the kids throw the hats in the air. It's beautiful, it really is. And it was a beautiful day. And we're all finished. I was on the stage for hours hours. Sun, I came home, I had a nice tan. Meaning I had a nice sunburn. Oh, the sun's going right like that. But I make the speech, right? I salute for probably an hour and a half, maybe more, but around that. Watch, if I'm off by 2 minutes, I'll say, he exaggerated. It was only an hour and 25 minutes. He exaggerated, he lied, he's a liar. These people are sick to fake news. So then, I finished saluting, my final salute. I said, thank goodness, thank you very much. But think of it, so essentially almost 600 times. Now, the general says, sir, are you ready? I said, I'm ready, General. Where are we going now? You have to understand, I left early in the morning to get there. Now it's sort of late in the afternoon. A lot of these fakers were with us, so they know. He said, sir, we can now leave the stage. I said, great, General, let's go. I'll follow you. And he goes like this, right here, sir. I'll walk on. And the stage was higher than this one. And the ramp was probably 10 yards long. I say, General, now you gotta understand, I have the whole Corps of Cadets looking at me. And I want them to love their president. I did this big thing. I love them, I love them. They're incredible, and they do. I said, General, I've got myself a problem, General. Because I'm wearing leather bottom shoes, which is good if you're walking on flat surfaces. It's not good for ramps. And if I fall down, look at all those press back there, look at it. And this was a steel ramp. You all saw it, because everybody saw it. This was a steel ramp. It had no handrail. It was like an ice skating rink. And I said, General, I have a problem. And he didn't understand that at first. I said, there's no way. You understood? I just saluted almost 600 times. I just made a big speech. I sat for other speeches. I'm being baked. I'm being baked like a cake. I said, General, there's no way I can make it down that ramp without falling on my ass, General. I have no railing. True. It's true. So I said, is there like something else around? Sir, the ramp is ready to go. Grab me, sir, grab me. I didn't really want to grab him. You know why? Because I said, that'll be a story too. So now I have a choice. I can stay up there for another couple of hours and wait till I'm rescued. Or I can go down this really steep, really, it's an ice skating rink, it's brutal. So I said, General, get ready, because I may grab you so fast. Because I can't fall with a fake news watcher. If I fall, I remember when President Ford fell out of the plane, you remember? I remember when another president, nice man, threw up in Japan. And they did slow motion replays. True, right? It's true. I don't want that, General. Now he's standing there, big strong guy, and he's got these shoes, but they're loaded with rubber on the bottom. Because the first thing I did, I looked at his shoes. Then I looked at mine. Very, very slippery. So I end up saying, okay, General, let's go. I will only grab you if I need you. That's not a good story. Falling would be a disaster. It turned out to be worse than anything. I would have been better off if I fell and slid down the damn ramp. Right? So what happens is I start the journey inch by inch, right? And I was really bent over too. I didn't like that, I didn't like this picture. This picture, I'm sure, will be an ad by the fakers. So I was bent over, right? And I'm going like this. And then we finally reached almost the end. And the fake news, the most dishonest human beings, they cut it off. You know why? Because when I was 10 feet short, I said, General, I'm sorry, and I ran down the rest, right? I looked very handsome. That was the only good thing. I wouldn't want to run down the whole thing because the fall there would be definitely bad. So I took these little steps. I ran down the last 10. And by the way, their tape, take a look. In almost every instance, it ends just before I run. And they said, here was the #1 trending story. I called my wife. I said, how good was that speech? I thought it was hey, look, I will tell you when I make good ones and bad ones. Like so far tonight, I'm average. Okay? But we're having fun. We're having fun. So far tonight. But I called my wife and I said, how good was it, darling? She said, you're trending #1. I said to our great First Lady, I said, let me ask you a question. Was it that good, the speech, that I'm trending #1? Because I felt it was really good. No, they don't even mention the speech. They mentioned the fact that you may have Parkinson's disease. It's true. It's true. They say there's something wrong with our president. I'll let you know if there's something wrong, okay? I'll let you know if there's something. I'll tell you what, there's something wrong with Biden, that I can tell you. So then my wife said, well, it wasn't only the ramp. Did you have water? I said, yeah. I was speaking for a long time. I didn't want to drink it, but I wanted to wet my lips a little bit. You know, you're working hard up there with the sun pouring down on you. I love this location. The sun's like this. This way they save on lighting, right? That's why they did it probably. So what happens is I said, what does it have to do with water? They said, you couldn't lift your hand up to your mouth with water. I said, I just saluted 600 times like this. And this was before I saluted. So what's the problem? She said, well, I know what you did. You had on a very good red tie that's sort of expensive. It's silk because they look better. They have a better sheen to them. And I don't want to get water on the tie. And I don't want to drink much. So I lifted up the water. I see we have a little glass of water. Where the hell did this water come from? Right? Where did it come from? And I looked down on my tie, because I've done it. I've taken water, and it spills down into your tie. It doesn't look good for a long time. And frankly, the tie is never the same. So I put it up to my lip, and then I say, because I don't want it, just in case. And they gave me another disease. They gave me another disease. Story, but here's the story. I have lived with more the ramp than the water, but I've lived with the ramp and the water since I left West Point. Not one media group said I made a good speech or I made a great speech. But the kids loved it because they broke their barrier, which wasn't good in terms of COVID. But they broke their barrier and they wanted to shake hands. They wanted to, and I don't want to tell anybody, but there were a couple of kids they put at the end. I actually shook their hand, okay? I actually shook it. Because they were excited. They were excited. They're with their president. They were excited. The most beautiful young people, men, women, the most beautiful young people you've ever seen. So think of how you feel, you me. I go there. How did I do? Sir, that was a great speech. You know, all my people, sir, that was one of your best. That was great. I said, that's great. I agree. It was a good speech. I like that speech. They don't mention the speech, but they have me going down this ramp at an inch at a time. It's so unfair. It really is. So unfair. They are among the most dishonest people anywhere on earth. They're bad people. Bad people. Okay, that's enough of that. I wanted to tell that story. Does everybody understand that story? The left-wing anarchists tore down a statue of Thomas Jefferson. Now we're getting into the real stuff. They decapitated a statue of Christopher Columbus, except in New York when the Italians surrounded it. They didn't have too much of a chance. Those Italians, I love the Italians. They heard they were going to rip down their beautiful Christopher Columbus, and all of a sudden they circled that thing. They didn't do too well in hurting Christopher, did they? Thank you to our Italian population. We're very proud of you, right? 2 days ago, leftist radicals in Portland, Oregon, ripped down a statue of George Washington and wrapped it in an American flag and set the American flag on fire. Democrat, all Democrat. Everything I tell you is Democrat. And you know, we ought to do something, Mr. Senators. We have two great senators. We ought to come up with legislation that if you burn the American flag, you go to jail for 1 year. 1 year. Jim and James. We ought to do it. You know, they talk about freedom of speech, and I'm a big believer in freedom of speech, but that's desecration. That's a terrible thing they do. We used to have things. We don't have them anymore because we want to be so open, so everything, and look what happens. We should have legislation that if somebody wants to burn the American flag and stomp on it, but just burn it, they go to jail for 1 year, okay? In Seattle, the Democrat mayor and the Democrat city council have surrendered control of 6 city blocks to an anarchist. Now, these are anarchists. These are not protesters. You listen to the fake news, they say, oh, the protesters were lovely. Could you imagine if people just even slightly to the right tried to take over Seattle? They'd have machine guns out to get them. But these people can take over the city. Look at what they've done to business people that have spent years and years building their business, and now they're wiped out, taken away. Governor Inslee ought to get his act together, get in there. I'll help you. I'll do whatever you want. I'm waiting for a call. I would love to do it. I would love to do it. It'll take less than an hour, and it'll all be over with, and you'll have your city back. And yet Biden remains silent in his basement in the face of this brutal assault on our nation and the values of our nation. Joe Biden has surrendered to his party and to the left-wing mob. He has no control. Does anybody honestly think he controls these radical maniacs? You know what he says to his wife when he's not confusing her with his sister? Get me the hell out of here. These people are crazy. That's what he says. He has absolutely no control. You know, a lot of times I'll make like a speech and I'll have this beautiful paragraph come out criticizing every little aspect of the speech. Beautiful, brilliant. But Joe didn't. And it'll say, a comment from Joe Biden. But he didn't say it. Professional people, great students in English lit, people that are very smart say it. Joe Biden said, and they'll go into this highly complex paragraph, beautifully worded, and I say, Joe didn't say that. Joe doesn't even understand it. And if Biden is elected, he will surrender your country to these mobsters 100%. Your 401ks, by the way, look at how we're doing in the stock market. Just set another record with NASDAQ. Your 401ks and money itself will be worthless. Your 401ks are doing very well, unless, I don't want to say, if you were stupid, I said, don't sell, don't sell. It went down, but we got it back up. And now NASDAQ, think of it, NASDAQ just set a record, and I think you're going to see a lot of records. And next year, if we don't do anything stupid on November 3rd, you are going to have the greatest economic year we've ever had. That'll be next year. If the Democrats gain power, then the rioters will be in charge, and no one will be safe, and no one will have control. Joe Biden is not the leader of his party. Joe Biden is a helpless puppet of the radical left. And he's not radical left. I don't think he knows what he is anymore. But he was never radical left. But he's controlled by the radical left, and now he's really controlled. His campaign staff even donated a lot of money to bail out rioters, looters, and arsonists who ravaged Minneapolis. They bailed them out. They put up a lot of money to bail them out, the rioters, the looters. And they were the arsonists. So they'll say, oh, it's terrible what he says about the people of our nation. Maybe some of them aren't even from our nation. The left is trying to do everything they can to stop us. Every hour of every day, including even violence and mayhem, they'll do anything they can to stop us. Look what happened tonight. Look at what happened tonight. Law enforcement said, sir, they can't be outside. It's too dangerous. We had a bunch of maniacs come and sort of attack our city. The mayor and the governor did a great job, but they were very violent people.